leading e-commerce company out of Russia, Danny Perekalsky, Lightspeed Ventures partner Nicole Quinn, the CEO of Jumia, Jeremy Hodara, and they are joined by the lovely Marjorie Paillon, and she is from Francis 24. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to tackle e-commerce and the way e-commerce is actually eating the retail part of the world. But first, it's going to be a way also to introduce yourselves, but I would like to have your perspective on one very single definition. Do we still have to oppose both concepts, like online and retail? Isn't e-commerce actually, and commerce per se, the exact illustration of what a consumer journey should be from online to real life? Jeremy, maybe first.
Thank you. So we are building e-commerce in Africa. So I think our challenges are very specific to the region. And for us, because we are building e-commerce in more than 20 countries, the challenge is less about opposing, let's say, offline and online. Is more about formal and informal, and is more about informal distribution versus modern retail. And I think the big opportunity and the big challenge is how modern retail, being online or offline, the retail chains or us, can build a customer experience that is more professional, with better price, more choice, more trust, more security, rather than opposing the traditional, brick and mortar and online.
Danny, let's see what Russia and your markets have to say about this opposition, retail and e-commerce.
Hello everyone, just to introduce, Zone.io is a leading Russian e-commerce selling everything online to the Russian people, so 4.7 million goods. Between the online and offline, and I say that if I would ask you now, just in a quick one, who bought something online in the last 3 months? Something online. So if everyone would be also like energized now, we would see at least 90% of hands up. I do this survey already constantly. Offline, everyone would raise up the hands as well, of course, because at least everyone buys something offline. And in these two edges, between offline to online, everyone today take his way of life and way of shopping, and it's everyone with his personal way of life. It's a fact, it is moving to online. I mean, we look in Russia, for example, the offline is with stagnation, 0% growth. The online is growing on the level of 20–25%. The train is driving in all the countries. It's the same. Online is catching from offline. Both are leaving, both will leave. Step by step, more are changing to that. In our nature, we are building the online way of life part in Russia, and speeding up with that train on that. But again, it's mix of this world, and everyone on this somewhere there.
Nicole, we're going to deep dive into the user experience part of it in a few, but first, as far as you know a lot about this, and you're studying closely all these kind of behavioral consumers journey kind of things. Again, I mean, do we have to oppose those concepts every single time we're trying to see how e-commerce is going to eat the retail part of the world?
Absolutely. So hi everybody. I'm coming at this from an investor's perspective. I'm a consumer partner investing in all things consumer at Lightspeed Venture Partners, but what I'm most excited about is certainly e-commerce. And so we do think about the consumer journey in everything that we do. We think about not just looking at absolute numbers with regards to e-commerce, but really looking at the retention figures, the word of mouth, the referrals. That to me is far more important. And so when looking, to Danny's point, when looking at offline and online, what really gets me excited is that part in between. And so I don't call it omni-channel, I call it be everywhere the customer is. And so I love it when e-commerce companies really think outside the box here. And so whether it be one of our portfolio companies, Rocky, is starting a shoe pop-up shop, or Zola doing their pop-up shop in Dallas and thinking across the entire country, or whether it's I don't know if everyone knows Cotopaxi, but they do these Questables, and they realize that their customers are doing these great adventure assault courses, so therefore it makes sense, be everywhere your customer is, to sell things to the customer during these Questables. And then you've got Alex and Annie and other interesting e-commerce companies where they're using Airstreams, and they're doing these pop-up Airstreams all around New York City. And I think it's a great consumer experience because it's just different and unique, and that to me is key.
So Jeremy, actually, tell us a little bit more about the story behind Jumia, because as far as I remember, when you launched a service in Africa, I mean, you had to go through a lot of evangelization of your own future customer, like dedicating task force to actually go and see the consumers on every step or every threshold, so that you can actually worm their way into the process of what online shopping meant. If you had to do it if you had to do it all over again, would you do it the same way?
Probably we would try to do a few less mistakes, but all in all, yes, we would do it the same way. I think when you look at e-commerce and you look at I don't know, the US or China, we think it's paradise for e-commerce, but really there is no need for e-commerce. I mean, as you are saying, there are shops everywhere. You can go downstairs in the street and you have all the shops. And somehow there is a misconception about Africa that everything is going to be more complicated and that e-commerce is maybe 20 years. But actually in Africa, people have, there is a growing middle class. In Nigeria, you have 200 million people. Half of them have access to the internet. They want to buy goods, they want to buy services. They have to travel abroad to get it because it doesn't, it's not distributed in the country. So the opportunity for e-commerce is much bigger actually in Africa, because the share of e-commerce eventually will be significantly higher, given that traditional brick and mortar and offline can grow at a speed which is limited by the fact that it's physical. There are 2 malls in Lagos for 20 million people. So the need is here. What is needed is to build the trust. And that's the challenge we had, which is, people need internet, need e-commerce. How can we build the trust? And so we have a lot of ways that we did. For example, 95% of the people pay the product on delivery. So they pay cash on delivery when they see the product, which means that we had to build our distribution network. So we have to have our own trucks, our own motorbikes. We have 100 of trucks, motorbikes, and basically we had to build everything ourselves so that we can build the trust, so that people can finally use internet to buy the products that they cannot find in the real world.
So actually, Danny, what's your perspective and your take on the other side of the market when it comes to West and Eastern Europe? How do you tailor-make your offers so that you can actually make the most of it for your own consumers?
So I say yes, in Russia the shoppers are very fragmented and are very different if you compare Moscow to other regions. If looking on our case, so first of all the assortment, which is about already almost 5 million SKUs, everyone from each level, each needs, will find what he wants within this assortment. The other thing is, with the complexity and the smart way of that, is we have 4 fulfillment centers in different areas of Russia, and the interesting thing is that so we have one big with 1 million SKUs and then 3 ones with 200,000 items. Very interesting to see that the shopping in different regions is only 10% similar from the top 80% of sales. So 90% of the sales in different regions in Russia are different items. So we need to learn and personalize constantly and to be with a very smart, efficient solution for that, and to really put close to them what they want to buy in each city or each region, and this is the way we tackle that, from that aspect of East and West and different regions.
Well, that's quite interesting, Nicole, actually, because when we have to think about the customization of the customer experience and the consumer journey too, now that we have all this amount of data on the way those consumers do behave online and offline, it gives us a really great idea of what the trends would be to follow in 2018.
So I'm constantly thinking about like what are the new trends that we need to be thinking about. And we think about retail online and then also digitally native vertical brands. And so to one of Danny's points, I think personalization is a very key trend. And so you'll find in Silicon Valley, data scientists are just in very hot demand because people are just constantly thinking, okay, we have this customer, we have a captivated audience maybe around like content, and so how do we really make this personalized to the customer? So that's one key trend. The other thing I think about is, okay, like tastes change very easily, especially around fickle millennial customers and Gen Z. So how can you build an e-commerce brand? And I say brand because I really think there are strong network effects around brand, and that's so important. And how can you build a brand that's really going to last a very long time? So when you think about defensibility, I think what is the moat around your business that is really going to make you defensible? And so there are some key trends around having content as a moat, or maybe having community as a moat. And so those are things that will keep your customer coming back time and time again, telling others, hey, have you seen the content on Into the Gloss with Glossier? Or have you seen Gwyneth Paltrow's content on Goop? And then you go in for the content, and then you start to get into the e-commerce experience. And so that's a key trend that makes us really excited, both because those companies are unique and also have defensibility.
So huge focus here on the editorialization on brands and goods on e-commerce platforms, but also if I'm paying close attention to what you're actually saying here, it's a huge storytelling also trend when it comes to all those kind of platforms. Now, let's play hardball, if you may, for a quick second, because time is really flying, really back on this stage. Amazon, friend or foe?
Amazon
is a friend or a foe to you?
For now, Amazon is someone to look at. Is someone with endless money in this world that can in any time enter the Russian market in some different ways. And for us, Amazon is to pick here and there some good ideas to follow up with, because they're really doing great things. They change the world actually with shopping habits and lifestyles. For us, it's someone to look at as an example and to take here and there some good example that they did already.
Jeremy, your friend of all could be Alibaba.
Actually, I think Alibaba is a much closer model to us than Amazon.
Exactly.
I think Amazon would have a lot of difficulties to understand some challenges in Africa. China actually is much closer. So pretty much the same answer. Is it a friend of a foe? I have no idea. I think they have their plate quite full with a lot of countries in the world. But in terms of role model, the way they think about building an ecosystem, for example, in terms of logistics, they don't have their own trucks, but they have companies that are working for them with their systems, and they really build the ecosystem around them. I think it's something that is very relevant for fast-growing countries with little infrastructures, and the way they have understood to build a business in this region is quite inspiring.
Nicole, I could actually, those two guys, new players like Jumia, Ozon, can differentiate themselves from the tech giants in the sector, Alibaba, again, Amazon.
My partner Jeremy Liu, actually at Lightspeed, also wrote a great blog on this actually yesterday, and it was like, why? It's not how big the dog is in the fight, it's how big the fight is in the dog, and I completely agree with that. So Amazon, in my opinion, is not your friend. Amazon will try and crush every single industry. And so yes, maybe they're expanding the size of the pie, but they will try and crush every single industry. I was actually at a conference 2 days ago, and I was sitting like front row, basically where you guys are. I turned to my right, and like Jeff Bezos was also sitting there. So I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity to say to him, please tell us if there's any industry within e-commerce you are not going to try and go after, because it seems right now that we're invested in Zola, and it's difficult because of course Amazon now have Amazon registry. If you're Capsule or PillPack, any kind of e-commerce company in pharmaceuticals, well now Amazon are trying to go after that. So it just seems like they are going after every single industry, and so I think you have to be the dog that has the most amount of fight in them and think, how can you, again, be really differentiated against going up against Amazon? What do you have that's really special to fight them?
Well, but actually, it's a really great perspective here because as much as, I mean, the consumers can be versatile, I mean, those kind of platforms know exactly how to keep them captive. So how do you fight that?
How do we find the different platforms keep their customers captive? Well, again, I think that content there is a key way of having the customer be very captive. If you think about like the offline experience, for me, Anthropologie do that better than anyone else. Like the average customer goes into a store for about 10 minutes. Anthropologie, the average is 45 minutes in store. So it's like, what is the online equivalent of Anthropologie and keeping your customer there and like picking up an extra thing, and like keeping them captive for a long time so they spend more.
Well, let's find out if this strategy is going to work. Maybe with Jumia and also. Other question here. Now, the new battle is definitely the last mile battle. So how do you actually plan your strategy on delivery specifically? Maybe Jeremy first in Africa.
So on the last mile, I mean, obviously the challenge for us is that we cannot count on the post system, or we cannot call DHL or FedEx. I mean, it's not something we can count on, and we have to do every delivery ourselves because we get paid at the delivery. So the challenge for us is to move from us doing it ourselves and otherwise becoming the largest garage of Africa, which I think is not our ambition, to you know, helping small family companies that have 1 moto, 3 motos to use our technology, use our tools, and eventually to start to do deliveries for us. So we started to do 100% of the delivery ourselves. Now we do 50% of the delivery ourselves, and 50% are done by you know, a small family company that start to build their own business, leveraging our thing. And I think the last mile is not only on the distribution, it's also on the customer acquisition. We have 60,000 people in Nigeria, for example. It's housewives, students that have a tablet or a phone, and basically they go to their friends and family in remote areas, and they you know, and they explain what is e-commerce, and they sell products basically. So they turn themselves into you know, a shop. And so I think the last mile is really something that can make a difference in terms of customer acquisition, delivery, because it's hard to replicate.
Danny, Nicole, do we have
last mile?
Yes,
I must on that, on the last mile, because last mile is crucial on that one. It is the differentiator with Alibaba as well. When you get something from China in days or weeks, and when you get something the same day or next day in a quality service way, it's a huge differentiation, and for us, it's a key trust builder, this last mile. We are building on that. We have more than 1,000 couriers, all blue, hopefully smiling. And this is a key, and I'm always saying, if you get in the right time, in the right way, you will buy again. It's a crucial factor for the next, because you already chose the item, chose the price, content was okay, all was okay, you want to make the deal. If it came as should, you will come again. If it came not as should, you will check another place. And this last mile is a key in our strategy and differentiator, especially versus other big that want to enter the market. Yeah.
Well, interesting that Nicole, it's a question of trust at the end of the day. Like winning this battle is about trust again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to work at a fintech startup, and we always used to say that in any other area within consumer, you need 2 different touch points for a customer to build trust, to your point. In fintech, you actually need 3 or 4 touch points because people have such little trust in the industry. And so I think, you know, it's all well and good to kind of do all your marketing through Facebook, but it's so important to have like different marketing campaigns so that people hear about things through different touch points. So maybe it's a friend, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's outdoor marketing, maybe it's like a commercial where, or a TV commercial even just 15-second TV commercial where people are talking about how much they love and trust a brand. I think it's key.
Well, trust it will be. Thank you so much. That all we have time for, unfortunately, on this stage, but I think we'll deep dive into the conversation off stage. So thank you very much for your perspective. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Marjorie.